Hi everyone. Today in this class I want to discuss with you income tax, important topic. How to determine residential status of individual. Let us go into the topic. In this lecture 1, I am going to explain all the rules to determine residential status of one individual person. And if you want to know how to do problems in this, you have to follow the lecture 2 also. Residential status of individual. Actually, why it is very important to determine residential status of one individual? Because individuals may earn income. So on the total income whatever they are earning during the previous year, they need to pay tax in the assessment year. So for payment of tax, income tax department has to determine what actually is the residential status of that particular individual person during the previous year. Depending upon that, the tax will be imposed on his income, whatever he actually earned during the previous year. So for payment of tax, his residential status is very, very important to determine. So residential status may be resident or non-resident. If suppose he is a resident, then again we have to determine whether he is a resident and ordinary resident or resident but not ordinary resident. So we have to determine his residential status like this. So here why actually we have to determine, I already said that for tax purpose. Some individuals may earn income in India and some may earn outside the India also. So which income is taxable in India? To know that, we have to determine the residential status compulsorily. So let us take one example. I mentioned down. You can see the example. I will explain that and you can see the lines also. Ram and Shyam, both are having same incomes. Ram is one individual person, Shyam is another individual person. So both are earning same incomes during the previous year. And how much income they earned? 7 lakhs rupees. 3 lakhs income they earned and received in India, and 4 lakhs income he is earning and receiving outside India. Total 7 lakhs. Okay, so both are actually earning total income of 7 lakhs during the previous year. And where actually they are earning this income? In India, they are earning 3 lakhs worth of income. And 4 lakhs worth of income they are receiving outside India. Total 7 lakhs each are earning during the previous year. And depending upon the residential status, they need to pay tax. So let us see what is the residential status of these two individuals. If the residential status of Ram is resident, if suppose he is resident during the previous year, then he has to pay tax on 7 lakhs income what he earned. Okay, actually 7 lakhs he is earning part in India and part outside India. Even then, since his residential status is resident, he has to pay tax on 7 lakhs rupees in India. If his residential status is resident. If he is a resident, he has to pay tax on total income. Okay. And let us see what actually is going to happen for Shyam. If Shyam residential status is non-resident, here if Shyam is non-resident, if he is non-resident, his total taxable income is only 3 lakhs rupees. So the income what actually he is earning in India, that is taxable. Okay, on that, on 3 lakhs rupees he has to pay tax because his residential status is non-resident. Okay, so here Mr. Ram residential status is resident. That is why he has to pay tax on total income what actually he is earning in India as well as outside India. But here Shyam is earning income part in India, 3 lakhs in India and 4 lakhs outside India. But his residential status is non-resident. That is why he has to pay tax only on Indian income. Okay, so to the Income Tax Department of India, he has to pay tax only on Indian income. How much he is earning in India? 3 lakhs rupees. So his taxable income is only 3 lakhs because his residential status is non-resident. That is why we have to determine residential status of an individual during the previous year. Okay, but because that is very vital to determine tax and how much income is taxable, that all comes that all comes into account only depending upon the residential status of an individual. How actually residential status is going to be determined? Citizenship of a person is not actually is going to determine the residential status. Okay, residential status determination rules are different. Citizenship never determines the residential status. Citizenship of actually person is determined according to the provisions of the constitution, but residential status of a person will be determined according to the provisions of Income Tax Act 1961. So some provisions are laid down in Indian Income Tax Act 1961 how to determine the residential status. So those provisions are taken into account while determining the residential status of one individual person. Those rules will be applied to determine whether he is a resident or non-resident. Okay, and let us see what are those all rules, because I already explained to you residential status determination is very important for tax purposes. Okay, let us move. Here, if we want to determine residential status of one individual, there are some set of rules in Indian Income Tax Act 1961. Before going into that, we have to determine individuals under general category as well as special category. So general category individuals rules are different and special category rules are different. Some changes are there under special category. So let us discuss what actually are the rules to determine residential status of one individual if he is going to come under general category. General category means all individuals who actually are earning income in India. Special category I will explain later in the same class. Okay, so let us see what actually are the rules to determine residential status of one individual if he is going to come under general category. First of all, residential status of one person is 3 types. We may call him as a resident and ordinary resident. You can see here. Second one, resident but not ordinary resident. Third one is non-resident. Okay, so one person, one individual may be categorized under any one of the 3. We may call him resident and ordinary resident. We may call him resident but not ordinary resident. We may also determine his residential status as non-resident. How actually we are going to determine like this? By considering some set of rules. There are some set of rules. Mainly 2 sets of conditions are there in Income Tax Act 1961. What are those 2 sets? One is basic conditions. Second one, additional conditions. Okay, basic conditions, additional conditions. There are 2 sets of conditions to determine residential status of one individual. Let us discuss what are basic conditions and how can we determine. You can see here, first one, basic conditions. So an individual person is considered as resident during the previous year if he is going to satisfy one basic condition or both the basic conditions. Actually basic conditions are two. Under basic conditions there are two rules, and here by considering basic conditions we can determine individual residential status, either resident or non-resident. So we can determine by looking into basic conditions whether he is a resident or non-resident. When he will become resident, I said there are two conditions under basic. So basic conditions are two. If individual satisfy any one condition, then he will be treated as resident. He may satisfy two conditions also, but if he satisfies at least one condition out of the two, any one, either first one or second one, he may satisfy any one condition. Okay, then we can call him as a resident. If he is not satisfying at least one condition, at least one basic condition, then we can treat him as a non-resident. Okay, so here by looking into basic condition we can determine whether he is a resident or non-resident. How? There are two conditions under basic conditions. If he satisfies any one or both, we can call him as a resident. If he does not satisfy even a single condition, at least any one condition is not satisfying, then we can call him as a non-resident. If he is a resident, then we have to apply additional conditions also. If he is non-resident, we need not to apply additional conditions. We can say that he is non-resident and we can impose tax on him. Okay. If he is a resident, then we have to apply additional conditions also. Is it clear? If any doubts you can mention in the comment section. I will reply for that. And we have to discuss what are the basic conditions. I already said two conditions. Let us discuss what are those two conditions. First one is he is in India in the relevant previous year. You may get a doubt, what is previous year? Previous year means just the year which is preceding to the relevant assessment year. Suppose our assessment year is 2024 and 25. So previous year will be preceding period, preceding 12 months period to the assessment year. So it will be 2023 to 24. That is previous year. 2024 and 25 is assessment year. Okay. So during the previous year, what I said here, previous year is 2023 and 24. If assessment year is 2024 and 25, then previous year will be 2023 and 24, just 1 year before that. So during the previous year, the income whatever he is earning, that is taxable. So we have to determine his residential status during the previous year only. Okay. So previous year means just 1 year preceding period to the relevant assessment year. Let us see first one. He is in India in the relevant previous year for a minimum period of 182 days. So he has to stay in India during the previous year. How many days? 182 days. Okay, that is a first condition. Second one is he is in India for a period of 60 days or more. Okay, he may be in India during the previous year for a period of 60 days or more during the previous year, and is given. So he has to satisfy these two. 60 days he has to stay during the previous year in India, and 365 days or more during the 4 years preceding to the relevant previous year. So 365 days or more. Okay, so he has to stay 365 days in India during 4 years period. And what are those 4 years preceding to the relevant previous year? So before previous year, 4 years period will be there. So during those 4 years period, he had to stay in India for 365 days. Okay, that is the second one. Second condition is he has to stay in India for 60 days during the previous year and 365 days or more than that during 4 years period which is preceding to the relevant previous year. Okay, so these are two rules which are coming under basic conditions. If he satisfies any one, we can call him as a resident. If he may satisfy both also, any one or both, then we can call him as a resident. If he is not satisfying any one of these two conditions, then we can treat him as a non-resident. If he is non-resident, we need not apply additional conditions. If he is resident, we have to apply additional conditions to determine whether he is a resident and ordinary resident or resident but not ordinary resident. Let us move to the next one. Let us see additional conditions now. I already said to you, if he is a resident, we have to determine whether he is resident or not ordinary resident and resident and ordinary resident. So how to determine? By applying additional conditions. If he is non-resident, we need not to apply these additional conditions. So additional conditions are same for general category and special category persons, but basic conditions are going to change. Okay, now whatever I am discussing here, those all are related to individuals which are coming under general category. Special category individuals I will discuss now again after this. Okay, so here let us discuss additional conditions. If he is non-resident, we need not to apply these additional conditions. If he is a resident, we have to apply these additional conditions. Why? If he is a resident, again we have to determine whether he is resident and ordinary resident or resident but not ordinary resident. That is why we have to apply additional conditions. Let us see what are the additional conditions. I have given down, you can see there are two additional conditions. First one is he has to stay, he has been resident in India, means he has to stay in India for 2 years out of 10 previous years preceding to the relevant previous year. So we have previous year, I said 2023 and 24 is previous year. So before that year, preceding to that previous year, 10 years period will be there. So out of those 10 years, he has to stay 2 years in India. That is first condition. Okay, before previous year, out of 10 years, he has been in India for 2 years. That is first condition. Next, second one is he has been in India for a period of 730 days or more during the past 7 years preceding to the relevant previous year. So again here, what is the second rule? We have previous year, that is 2023 and 24. Before the previous year, before means preceding the previous year, there will be 7 years period. So out of 7 years, assessee individual has to stay in India for 730 days out of 7 years period, which is preceding means before relevant previous year. Okay, so this is the second condition. Then how can we determine whether he is resident and ordinary resident or resident but not ordinary resident? How to determine this? If he satisfies both additional conditions, first one, second one, both, if he satisfies both, we have to treat him as a resident and ordinary resident. If he is satisfying any one or he is not satisfying none, he is not satisfying any one condition. If he is satisfying any one condition out of the two or not satisfying any condition, then we have to call him as a resident but not ordinary resident. Okay, so I'll repeat this once again. If individual is satisfying both additional conditions, first one, second one, then we can treat him as a resident and ordinary resident. If he is satisfying any one additional condition or none, means he is not satisfying anything, okay, then we can treat him as a resident but not ordinary resident. Hope this is clear. This is about individuals' residential status who are coming under general category, and basic conditions, additional conditions, both I explained. Basic conditions we can apply to determine whether he is resident or non-resident. If he is resident, again we have to apply additional conditions. Why? To determine whether he is resident and ordinary resident, or resident but not ordinary resident. Okay, so let us go to next one. Now let us come and discuss here rules for determination of residential status of one individual person who is coming under special category assessee. Till now we discussed about general category assessee. Here we are going to discuss rules for determination of residential status of individual who is going to come under special category assessees. First of all, special category assessees, whom we can treat as special category. Okay, so here I have given list of 3 persons who are going to be treated as special category assessees. These 3 individuals are coming under special category. Who are those 3? I will read the points. You can see. First one, an Indian citizen leaving the country for employment outside India during the relevant previous year. So Indian citizen only, but he is leaving the country. Okay, he is moving to foreign countries. Why? Due to employment. During which year? Previous year. Okay, then we can call that particular person as a special category assessee. And second one is an Indian citizen who is a member of crew in a ship. Okay, and let us go to third one, an Indian citizen or a person of Indian origin. He is actually Indian citizen. Okay, a person of Indian origin only, visiting India during the previous year. So he actually is living in foreign countries. Now he actually visiting India during the previous year period. Okay, these 3 people are going to come under special category. Other than these 3, remaining all comes under general category assessees. If any person is coming under these 3, then we can call him as a special category assessees. So for determination of residential status of these special category assessees, we have set of rules. Okay, let us discuss what are all those. So for special category assessees, what are the rules here? So I said that there are 3 types of special category assessees. Okay, 3 persons are treated as special category assessees. For each person there are set of rules. Let us discuss what are all those. Here first one, an Indian citizen leaving the country for employment outside India during the relevant previous year. So he is Indian citizen but going to foreign countries because of his employment during the previous year. And what are the basic conditions for him? So here in case of any individual, if he is going for employment basis, okay, during the previous year on employment basis, so we have to treat him whether he is a resident or non-resident by looking into basic conditions. So what is the actually basic condition for him? He has to stay during the previous year 182 days or more. Then we can call him as a resident. Okay, so if he does not satisfy this rule, then we can call him as a non-resident. If that person actually is staying during the previous year in India for 182 days or more, only one condition for special category assessees. If he satisfies this condition, he will be treated as resident. If he is not satisfying this condition, we can call him as a non-resident. Okay, So here you can see I am reading that sentence. Basic conditions, in case of an individual who is citizen of India and leaving the country during the previous year, 11 2 is typed, that is not correct. Okay, that is just a mistake. During the previous year, okay, for employment outside India will be considered as resident. That is not residence, resident. If he stays in India during the previous year relevant to the current assessment year for 182 days or more. If he stays during the previous year in India for 182 days or more than that, then we can call him as a resident. If he is not satisfying, we can treat him as a non-resident. Okay, so let us discuss what are actually the rules for the person who actually is going to come under special category assessee, and who is he? An Indian citizen who is a member of crew in a ship. So let us discuss basic conditions for him. So an individual person who actually left India during the previous year because he actually was a member of crew. Okay, so he was actually staff member on duty. Then he stayed in India during the previous year for a period of 182 days. Then we can call him as a resident. If he is not staying in India during the previous year for 182 days, we can treat him as a non-resident. So this basic condition is similar to that of first one. Okay, so first person who actually is going to foreign country on employment basis, same basic condition for these two persons who are coming under special category. So if they satisfy this rule, we can treat them as a resident. If not, then we can call them as a non-resident. Okay, and let us discuss what are the rules for special category assessee. He is third one. Okay, who is he? An Indian citizen or person of Indian origin visiting India during the previous year. So let us see what are the basic conditions for him. In case of that particular person, okay, he actually was an Indian citizen and he is from Indian origin only, and he has been outside India and coming now and visiting India for a minimum period of 182 days during the previous year. Okay, whenever he stays in India during the previous year for a period of 182 days, then we have to see, especially for this particular person, we have to see what is his total income. If suppose his total income is only up to 15 lakhs during the previous year and he actually stayed 182 days during the previous year, then we can treat him as a resident. Okay, so otherwise he will be treated as non-resident. Hope this is clear. So if the person is falling under third category, we have to apply basic condition, that is 182 days stay during the previous year. If he stayed during the previous year for a period of 182 days, then we have to see what is his total income, especially for this third person. Okay, if his total income is up to 15 lakhs, then we can treat him as a resident. Okay, if suppose he is not satisfying 182 days stay during the previous year, then we can determine his residential status as non-resident. If suppose he is satisfying stay of 182 days during the previous year, okay, and his income is above 15 lakhs, it is exceeding 15 lakhs during the relevant previous year, then we have to see, we have to apply other conditions. Okay, we have to see there are two conditions again. If his income is exceeding 15 lakhs, we have to see the other two conditions. What is the first one? How many days he is staying during the previous year, whether he is staying for a period of 182 days or not, that should be checked. Second one is he is in India for a period of 120 days or more, that is ORR, 120 days or more, and 365 days or more during the 4 years preceding to the relevant previous year. So here two conditions are there. If his income is exceeding 15 lakhs, okay, then what is the first condition? During the previous year he has to stay in India for a period of 182 days or more, and second one is he has to stay 120 days during the or more during the previous year, and 365 days or more during 4 years period preceding to the relevant previous year. Before previous year period, before 4 years period to the previous year, out of 4 years which is preceding to the relevant previous year, he actually must stay in India for a period of 365 days. Okay, this is a second condition. If suppose that person is satisfying first basic condition out of these two, when these two conditions we will apply, if his total income is exceeding 15 lakhs and he is coming under third category, okay, then we will apply these two. If his total income is not exceeding 15 lakhs, then we will apply only one condition, whether he is staying during the previous year for a period of 182 days or not. If his income is exceeding 15 lakhs, then we will apply these two conditions just now I discussed with you. Okay, so we have to see whether how many conditions he is satisfying. If that individual is satisfying first basic condition, then he will be treated as resident. If he satisfies only second basic condition, then we can treat him as a resident but not ordinary resident. Here itself we can determine his residential status as resident but not ordinary resident. If he satisfies first condition, that his stay is 182 days during the previous year, then we can treat him as a resident. Suppose he is satisfying only second condition, that is he is staying 120 days for a period of 120 days during the previous year and 365 days out of 4 years preceding to the relevant previous year. Okay, if he satisfies this second condition, then he will be treated as resident but not ordinary resident. Okay, this is about special category of assessees and basic conditions. Additional conditions for these people, if they are resident, then we have to apply additional conditions also. What are the additional conditions? Same additional conditions what actually we discussed for general category assessees. Let us see all those now. So additional conditions here. For both special and general category persons, additional conditions are same. Okay, these additional conditions we will apply if their residential status is resident. If they are non-resident, we don't apply this test. Okay, we don't apply these additional conditions. Hope this is clear. And let us see what are the additional conditions. Same additional conditions what we discussed under general category assessees. Let us see what is the first one. He has been resident in India 2 out of 10 previous years preceding to the relevant previous year. So before previous year period, our previous year is 2023 and 24. Before that, previous to that, out of 10 years, he has to stay in India for 2 years at least. That is the first condition. Second one is he has been in India for a period of 730 days or more during the past 7 years preceding to the relevant previous year. So we have previous year period 2023 and 24. Before that, before 7 years period. Okay, so he actually has been in India for 730 days out of 7 years. So preceding to relevant to previous year. There are two conditions, additional conditions. If he satisfies both additional conditions, then only we can treat him as a resident and ordinary resident. If they satisfy any one out of these two or not satisfying anything, then we can treat them as a resident but not ordinary resident. Okay. So if any doubts are there, you can mention in the comment section. I will reply for those. If you want me to make any videos regarding any topic, you can mention in the comment section so that I will make the videos and I'll give the lecture and I'll give the notes also. And whatever points I mentioned here, you can take it as notes also. All these points are very important and you can write it for notes. You will have clarity on the topic and you can listen the lecture also so that you will get idea. If you understand the class, share the video so that other students also will get benefit out of that. And like the video, share it and subscribe the channel. Thank you. Now let us discuss some points actually here till now we discussed all the rules for general category assessees and for special category assessees. There is one chart you can see on the screen. There is one chart. So what conditions actually they are satisfying, and what is the residential status. This is only for general category assessees. I explained in the beginning of the class general category assessees, basic conditions, additional conditions I explained. So if they are satisfying any condition, how we can determine the residential status. Let us see that. Here basic conditions, additional conditions. See the first one, that person is satisfying basic first condition, second basic condition also yes, he is satisfying second one also. I said that general category assessees, if they satisfy any one basic condition, we can treat them as a resident. So here this party is satisfying two basic conditions, so we can treat him as a resident. Once he becomes a resident, then we will apply additional conditions. See additional conditions. First one, we have two additional conditions. So first one is he is satisfying first one. Second one also he is satisfying. So if he satisfies both the additional conditions, then we can treat him as a resident and ordinary resident. So you can see under residential status it is written here resident and ordinary resident. Let us discuss second one. Second person, serial number second, you can see the serial numbers 2. So here second person, basic conditions 2 are there, but first one is satisfying yes, second one no. I already said if he satisfies any one, that itself is enough to determine whether he is resident or non-resident. If he satisfies one condition, no, we can treat him as a resident. So he is satisfying first one, he will become resident. If once he is a resident, we have to apply additional conditions. See for second person, additional conditions. First additional condition yes, satisfying. Second one also yes. If he satisfies both the additional conditions, he will become resident and ordinary resident. Okay. So you can see under residential status that is written over there. Third person, third one, serial number 3. He is not satisfying first basic condition. No. First one is no. Second one yes. Okay. So if he satisfies any one, that itself is enough for us. He will become resident. If once he is a resident, apply additional conditions. See additional conditions. First one is, second one is. So both he is satisfying. So he will become resident and ordinary resident. Okay. So next one, fourth one. First basic condition is, second one no. So first one is, he is satisfying one enough, he will become resident. If once he is a resident, let us apply additional conditions. For fourth person, additional conditions, first one is, but second one no. He has to actually, if you want to how actually we determine under additional conditions. Additional conditions are 2. If he satisfies both, then only he will become resident and ordinary resident. If he satisfies one additional condition, he will become resident but not ordinary resident. If he does not satisfy 2, if he does not satisfy 2 additional conditions, then also will become resident but not ordinary resident. Okay. If you want to call him as a resident and ordinary resident, both should be satisfied. So here first one he is satisfying, but second one no, for fourth person. So he will become resident but not ordinarily resident. And see fifth one, basic conditions. First one no, not satisfying. Second one yes. Okay. So if he satisfies one basic condition, we can treat him as a resident and apply additional conditions. First one yes, second one no. If he satisfies 2, then only will become resident but ordinary resident. So only one he is satisfying. So he will become resident but not ordinary resident. Okay. Let us see sixth one, basic conditions. First basic condition is, he is satisfying first one. Second one no. anyhow he will become resident if he satisfies one basic condition. He will become resident, and we have to apply additional conditions. So in additional conditions, first one no, second one yes. So he is satisfying only second one. Then he will become resident but not ordinary resident only. Okay, if he wants to become ordinary resident and ordinary resident, two should be satisfied under additional conditions. Next, seventh one, basic conditions, first one no, second one yes. One is satisfying, so he will become resident. Apply additional conditions. First one no, second one yes. Only one additional condition, so that he will become resident but not ordinary resident. And see next, eighth point, basic conditions, first one is, second one is. If he satisfies at least one, he will become resident. If he satisfies both also, he will become resident. Okay, so here he is a resident. Apply additional conditions. First one no, second one no. So both he is not satisfying. What I said, if he satisfies two conditions, two additional conditions, then only he will become resident and ordinary resident. If he satisfies one additional conditions or none, then he will become resident but not ordinary resident. So he is not satisfying two conditions, then he will become resident but not ordinary resident. Okay, so this is about complete chart under different situations for general category assessees. So like this we have to determine residential status. Okay, hope you understood. Like the video, share the video, subscribe the channel. Thank you.